Hey yo!
Welcome back
to another episode
3.
of Serially Drunk and Deranged. And this is going to kind of be a duo, right? Well, most of them are kind of a duo, except for the first one. Except for the first one, because she's like crazy mind, good mind, crazy good mind. Anywho, I talk too much with my hands.
I know it's
Sure.
hot out
It is
here.
so hot. I wonder if I feel so fat in this shirt because like I'm just so sweaty. And it's
It's the humidity.
it is so hot in Oregon. It is so freaking hot in
We're
Oregon
not
right
in
now.
Oregon.
We're not, no, but we're not gonna say where they are. It's just it's hot, but it's hot everywhere, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it's hot like this.
I wonder if it's hot in Alaska.
So this episode is about Project MK Ultra,
Mm-hmm.
and if you've never heard of MK Ultra,
You probably shouldn't be listening to us.
it is insane
Mhm.
to me that our U.S. government was able to do this. Was just able to do this,
To U.S. citizens
and Canadian citizens.
And Canadian citizens, yeah.
So this is actually like it's not a conspiracy theory.
It is
Like it
true.
really happened. There are survivors.
Mhm.
There are documents. There are committees. Like this shit really happened.
There
Um,
are 20,000 documents that were not destroyed. And the reason why they were not destroyed is because they were somewhere around in finances and stuff. They just kind of got looked over.
Okay.
So this
well,
is from the shit that we know and survivor accounts. And
So what Project MK Ultra was a project by the CIA. So we were in the Korean War or whatever,
Mhm.
and a lot of our soldiers didn't want to come back home,
mhm.
came back home and were spewing this propaganda that they actually believed because they were quote unquote brainwashed.
That
in
was
the-
from the Korean War that they did that, or the
Mhm.
Cold War? They did that in the Korean War or the Cold?
Well, the Cold War is where they really like they didn't want to come back home, and they really were. But
Okay, so
they did.
they started it in the Korean
But it all
War.
started in the
Okay.
Korean War.
Okay.
So in 1953, the
Mhm.
CIA decided to do this project, which is basically a continuation of what they were doing at Nazi concentration camps
Mhm.
previously.
They actually hired German doctors and German scientists
Project Paperclip, yes, they didn't.
to
They
do
didn't-
the
they did-
explanations. Yeah,
Yeah,
do the
they.
experiments. Sorry,
The
experiments.
United States of America does not like to waste a good mind, even if you're a criminal. Anyways, that's a whole different,
Even if you Hitler's boy, which is crazy.
right?
Love
So
you, CIA.
the CIA decided to start this project because, like all these other countries, are controlling people's minds. So we need to figure something out to be able
But
to.
were they actually controlling their minds, though? I don't think they were controlling their minds.
Well,
I mean, there's no way that. I don't think they were actually.
they
controlling their
came back spewing communistic rhetoric. Like they came back not believing in our democracy anymore and believing in their.
But what if that's just the way they wanted to live?
You don't enlist as a soldier in the U.S. government's army if that's what you believe.
But what if you change your mind?
There were too many of them. Like some
Too
of them
many,
didn't even
okay.
want to come back home
Okay.
to their families. Like so
Well,
that's what
Okay,
that's
okay.
what prompted all of this. That's
Okay.
what started it. So these soldiers go over and basically our government's like, oh, you're brainwashed. You want to be a communist.
Mhm.
You don't want to come back home to your family.
Mhm.
You don't want to come back home to your country that you just got finished fighting for. So we need to do something too. So they started this project, this experiment that went on for 20 years. For 20 years.
So
And
can I ask a question?
okay.
So did it start off as MK Ultra, or was it like Project Artichoke?
No. There were a bunch of sub-projects.
Sub-projects before
Right.
or after or during?
During. So
During, okay.
Project MK Ultra is what they called the whole thing.
The whole thing, okay.
The whole thing.
Okay.
And then there were all these little sub-projects, like
Projects.
Project Artichoke.
Project Paperclip.
Well, no, that wasn't part of MK Ultra.
What about Bluebird?
I don't remember reading anything about Bluebird, but like there was project, I think like MK Delta or something like that, or MA something. Like there were a bunch of little sub projects that were part of the overall MK Ultra deal. But what they were doing was sanctioned by the CIA. The CIA is doing this. They were taking kids from reform schools and prisoners and sex workers,
mental
yes,
patients.
mental patients, yes, and they were drugging them and they were torturing them and they were so a lot of the people who were performing these experiments had no scientific background. They were just like CIA workers, and like
The CIA would actually dose their own workers.
yes,
They would
that
dose-
was the thing.
They would dose their own workers, and there was actually a big thing if you watch Wormwood on Netflix, which is like somewhat documentary, somewhat movie, but I can't remember Homeboy's name. John, do you remember? Do you remember
Oh,
that?
the doctor, John Olson.
Olson, yeah. You know, he
Okay, so interesting. So the CIA is not getting volunteers, is not getting permission. They are.
We're back. Wardrobe malfunction.
Okay, so the CIA is actually dosing individuals,
FBI agents, CIA agents, yeah. Mental
kids,
patients.
mental patients, whatever, with LSD. With some of them, they actually injected meth into one arm and
Barbiturates
into the other arm.
They were trying to come up with like a truth serum was one of the things they were trying to come up with. Some say maybe a Manchurian candidate. Yeah, sleeper soldier or something like that.
But okay, so there are all these unqualified people in the CIA. Like one of the things they did was purchase houses, like a safe house, like a house.
Yes.
And they would pay sex workers to bring Johns to the house.
Project Climax.
And when they brought them there was a two-sided mirror, and the sex worker would then drug the John.
Yep.
And the CIA people are on the other side of the two-sided mirror watching what happens.
And I also heard that during this time, it was just like a huge party for the CIA workers.
Yes,
It
a lot
was
of them just enjoyed watching other people have sex.
And they were drinking scotch. I'm sure it was scotch back in those days. You know, getting fucking hammered and shit. And neighbors reported some police incidents of naked women being chased by men in suits and stuff. And the sex in exchange for
drugs.
doing this for the CIA. The sex workers would, if they got in any trouble, they would get a nothing or a lenient term, or they would
they'd get them out of trouble, and they would take heroin addicts and pay them in heroin. Our U.S. government paid people in heroin who were heroin addicts to participate.
And then another thing that's really fucked up is, you sign up for this. And this happened at several different places. Like, not all these places, I think, knew what exactly was going on.
That's true. There were incidences of actual scientists being paid to do these projects.
Not knowing.
They had no idea they were being paid by the CIA. The CIA
They were
made
just reporting results, I guess, right?
well, they made other LLCs that their checks came from. So these like 80 universities were involved in
I
this.
think like the total number of facilities, it was like 164.
Yeah,
Not just
yes.
universities, probably prisons, all kinds of stuff. One of them was Stanford.
Right, that's
Stanford.
correct. So So the government decides they need to try to figure out how to control, but they actually didn't have any follow up. So, like, okay, this hooker brings this John in and drugs him, and the reason they went that route is because they knew that the Johns were not going to report this because hello, they just paid a hooker. But after the incident happened, they didn't have any other way to, like, if you know anything about the scientific method and how studies work, like, you have to have follow up and you have to no, they drugged these men and documented
Do
the
you think they were
transaction.
just? I mean, do you think at a point it was just for shits and giggles? I think Project Climax. I think that it moved from scientific study to just fucking shits and giggles because they could do it.
But that's like your employer. The U.S. government is your employer.
Yeah, but the
That's
CIA
like
was
your-
running rampant at this point in time,
Yes. So
and
your em-
JFK wanted to put it down, and that could be why he was assassinated.
Well,
That's
okay.
another episode.
So your employer is the U.S. government that we know and love and trust, and the U.S. government is paying you as your job to drug people and record what happens. That's insane, and this is documented. This is true
It
life.
is-
This really happened.
This
It's
is
not a
not
conspiracy.
speculation.
Right.
This is not, secondhand experiences. There are actual files, and these files are what I mentioned earlier, that there was an order to have everything on MK Ultra destroyed.
Yeah,
And a shit
there
ton
was.
of stuff was destroyed. God knows.
After Watergate.
After
Everybody
Watergate,
started
so-
getting nervous after
Yeah.
Watergate, and
But-
the head of the CIA at that time said, "Destroy all MK Ultra documents." Like,
The documented stuff that we have now are from 20,000 documents that were basically forgotten in
Well, they
a
were-
financial storage.
they were
weren't
filed. They were
destroyed.
filed with not with the MK Ultra documents. They were
financial documents.
they were filed with the financial documents.
So
So
they got overlooked.
right, they were misfiled, probably because everybody was fucked up. And so they were discovered. So the project went officially into like 67 or something, but it really didn't end all the way until 73. So for 20 years, the government paid people to drug people, watch them have sex, shoot them up with drugs, keep them awake, sexually
And
abuse
these-
them, torture them, like give somebody LSD for 164 days
100
straight.
They gave one person LSD for 174 days straight. It's not coming to me right now what became of it. Another woman who they used, maybe it was two women, but one woman that they used in the study, they I think maybe put her in a drug induced coma, and they told her in her ear that she needs to kill somebody. And then she got into a little bit of an altercation with another mother, right? Are you remembering this? Am I on the right?
Yes, yes.
And they're like, you need to shoot her in the head. And she shot, or you need to shoot her. And she shot her and she killed her. And there's another woman who went, okay, we haven't gotten to Montreal yet, but they also used the Canadians, the lovely, nice Canadians. It was Dr. Cameron. I think initially he didn't know what was going on, but I think that he got hip to it and was into it. And he would do electroshock stuff at a way higher voltages than what was
Yeah, it was like
normal,
more
or
than
was
10
just,
times
yeah,
the
it
normal
was crazy.
voltage for electroshock therapy.
One woman, I think he is the one who kept the guy into the drug, who kept the guy on LSD for 174 days. Is that correct?
I don't know that for a
It was
fact.
either him or there was another guy who they kept on LSD for 77 days. But the woman who I'm speaking of, she actually went in to see him for, she was a mother of 5. She was depressed. What I would say now, and what is speculated now, she went in to see him for postpartum depression. Something that can easily be managed with medicine. He kept her for, I believe, 6 months
I don't
to a
remember the
year. It was
details.
at least 6 months. Let's say at least 6 months. And whenever she came out, she didn't know who she was. She had to be taught how to use the bathroom.
Mhm,
She was basically a child.
mhm.
There is a documentary out about that. I can't remember the name about it. I haven't watched it, but I'll tell you about it.
Well,
Read
okay.
it off.
So Dr. John Olson, that is a name to remember.
Yes.
So
Yes.
he had a history of depression.
Mm-hmm.
He was very involved in the project,
Mm-hmm.
and he committed suicide. Jumped
I
out
feel
of
like
a
he never felt good about the project.
right.
That's
well,
my personal
he
opinion.
quote unquote committed suicide and jumped out of a window, and it was deemed a suicide.
Mm-hmm.
However,
After they dosed
his
him with LSD.
after a few days after they dosed him with LSD
Mhm.
without his knowledge.
Yes.
And then his family later had the body exhumed,
Mhm.
and he had
Extreme head trauma.
uh, he had a thing in his skull, like he was hit with a hammer before he jumped out the window.
It was proof that there was head trauma before he jumped out the window.
And his family sued and got a shit ton of money from the
They
federal
didn't get as
government.
much as what they were asking for. I think they sued for $1 million. But
They got
did-
750.
okay, that's what they got.
So, I mean, I guess that's a shit ton of money. Probably back then. Well, back then, it
I don't
wasn't
think it was that long ago
that they got the money.
Yeah.
But initially, when they filed the suit, I think that well,
And
it
they
was later
wanted
on.
an apology from who was the president at the time? Do you remember?
I did not. But they did
That president.
ask for a public apology.
No.
They did ask for a public apology and got nothing. They got money.
Okay, at first I feel like I read that they did get an apology. Was it Eisenhower? Does that they got an apology from the president, and they got an apology,
a letter,
a letter,
but they did not get a public apology.
and
That's what they wanted.
and supposedly they were supposed to have a bunch of stuff uncovered. They were supposed to be able to see a lot of stuff, but it wasn't that. They sealed a bunch of it before they got to it.
In 1975, the president started a committee to investigate the CIA and what they've been doing in their
church committee.
The church committee, yes. Okay. The president at the time decided he needed to. So survivors started coming forward, and
they still coming forward.
The president decided he needed to start a committee to look into all of these things. And they had asked several times for documents, and the CIA was like, "We ain't got shit." And so finally, after a couple of years, a citizen, just a regular citizen, filed some Freedom of Information Act papers.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And that's how they got the documents from the financial department.
Isn't it crazy that that's what it takes? One citizen to know exactly what to file.
Well, no.
I mean, they still don't have to get all of it, but
what's crazy is our federal government, who runs fucking everything, filed the documents and then ordered the documents destroyed. And there's documents left that they're unaware are there.
they're just freaking stupid. I mean, it's not crazy that it was destroyed. It's crazy that they didn't destroy the other documents, but
They didn't know they were there. That's not
They
where they
didn't
were
know
supposed to be filed. And so a citizen is like, I want some financial records. And then bam, MK Ultra documents.
that's freaking amazing.
So the committee has this hearing,
It's
and
an insider thing. Never mind. I'm going off topic. I don't want Courtney to start being a bully again.
so the committee has these proceedings, and in these, like, you can pull up the documents from these proceedings,
Yep.
and see those documents. A lot of them are irrelevant. It's just like receipts for this, receipts for that.
Legal mumbo jumbo. I can't read through that shit and understand it. I'm sure you can, because big brain here.
reference my big brain one more time.
Would you rather me say big boobs?
It doesn't matter.
I'm
I'm
more,
just kidding.
I'm more impressed with your brain. My dad's more impressed with your boobs.
It's fucked up on so many levels.
And it's on the channel.
So,
Where is that other White Russian? All right, keep going, David.
so this last committee where all the documents are available, they decide to start putting things in place to where, you know, there's all these rules and guidelines and shit to where the CIA can't do this again.
Mm-hmm.
But they were breaking all these rules and guidelines in the first fucking place.
Mm-hmm.
So all these people with all these conspiracy theories about the government, it's hard to believe that not at least some of them are true. Because
a lot of them are true.
They really have carte blanche. Like they can do whatever they want. They did whatever they want. They broke all the rules in the first fucking place.
Yeah.
So then they got a committee, and all this stuff comes to like 20 years of drugging unwitting participants.
I mean, they kept a dude on LSD.
Murdering doctors who are participating in the project.
I didn't read about any of that.
John Olson, that they murdered him.
He wasn't a doctor participating. He was just an agent, right?
I thought he was a doctor or
I think
scientist.
He was just a scientist, and he went out for a retreat. He went out with a retreat with them, and then they dosed him without him knowing it. Right. And I think I don't know if it was after that he got suspicious, or maybe he was suspicious.
No, he wasn't happy with the whole. He thought the project was unethical, and he wanted he wanted to get out. I think was the whole thing.
Okay.
And they murdered him.
Yeah, he didn't jump. He didn't fall. He got hit in the head and was pushed. Thrown. Yeah, that was a big thing in the Wormwood documentary, which I had a hard time finishing the whole thing, but the son struggled. Did you watch it? The son struggled with he was thrown. He was pushed. What was it? You know, it was like this big thing that he was going through, but yeah.
So the family
I'm glad they got the body exhumed.
I know. I'm surprised.
Jared, stop laughing at me.
I'm surprised the federal government allowed the body to be exhumed. But I mean,
how could they really stop that? I mean, without making it look too sketchy. I know they can stop whatever they want. They can. But I mean, how could they stop a body from being exhumed, which just happened in the 2000s, right? That his body was exhumed? At that point in time, how could the federal government, with as much stink as they were making about everything, which they should, how could the federal government stop it from being exhumed whenever bodies are exhumed all the time? You know, without it even
because you have to go
more
through channels to get that done, and I feel like they could have impeded that.
You think they could have found some kind of wacky loophole, some kind of.
I mean, they're the fucking federal government. They can do what they want. I feel like they could have impeded that at some point. But by this point, MK Ultra was out. Everybody knew about it. All the dirty little secrets
only because of financial documents and eyewitness accounts, which is nuts how much stuff you find out just from fucking financial documents.
Well, but a lot of them weren't even financial documents. They were just filed there incorrectly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because they were, filed with finances. Yes.
So, but I mean, at this point in time, though, I feel like they didn't impede it because the federal government was like, okay, we know we fucked up. Everybody knows we fucked up, and everybody knows what we did now.
And
there's no point. But
this is right after Watergate as well, right?
Right. Well, no. Watergate is what happened that prompted the CIA to order the destruction of all the documents.
Oh, that's why they wanted to destroy them. Okay.
Yes, that's what, because everybody was being looked into at that point.
You better fucking destroy that shit.
So,
God knows what we don't know. You know?
I
What we
mean,
don't know. That could, hey, MK Ultra could be where the Mothman came from. Android Cold could be a project of MK Ultra.
could be.
Could be.
So officially they shut everything down in 1973. So this went on for 20 years. 20 years people are being drugged without their knowledge.
Mhm.
And it was like a common thing that they were drugging other CIA agents
Yes.
without their knowledge, tripping on acid. And then there are videos out there that you can watch. Because there were also voluntary participants.
Yeah, a lot of them are voluntary. Yeah, a lot of college students.
Yes.
The Unabomber was.
Really?
You don't know about the Unabomber?
I didn't know that Unabomber was involved in MK Ultra at all.
Yes, he was. At Stanford.
Did not know that. Well, okay, so
We'll touch on that after you did.
there are actual videos of willing participants. Sorry, I'm about to sweat to death. Of willing participants, and I don't know if you've ever done acid, but or LSD, but there are videos out there of actual willing participants that they so at the beginning of the video, I don't know why the CIA thought this was a clever thing to do, but at the beginning
I've
of
seen this.
at the beginning of the video, it's like a pan of this document that says, "This is secret. If you're watching this, blah blah blah, you're not allowed to share." Yeah, I mean, what the fuck is that gonna do? Anyways, and then there are these two guys that they give LSD to in water. So they have to like drink this water and then subject themselves to all these questions. And
Do we know what these guys were? Were they like willing participants?
They were, yes, they were voluntary
volunteers.
participants.
Were they young men like from colleges or something, or just some rando off the street trying to make money?
No, they were young men. I think they were in college, but I don't know that for a fact. I have to go back and read
Just
again.
curious. I mean, it's not an important detail.
So they video him this whole time. He's tripping. Okay, he's tripping, and the doctor is asking him questions like, "How do you feel? Have you had any auditory or visual hallucinations? Are you this? Are you that?" And he's just like, miserable AF. Can you imagine tripping? I mean, you trip for fun, right? Like,
yeah, but
not in a clinical,
it
not in a clinical setting. Like, you don't.
If you trip, you want to go be outside.
Well, so
you want to be in nature.
Poor guy is just like,
I don't know from experience.
I don't know how I feel. I can't explain how I feel. I feel, And then the doctor's like, "Do you remember what I just asked you?" And then he said, "You just asked me how I feel." And like, he's like, I've had some visual hallucinations, geometric in nature. It just looks fucking miserable. But at least he was a volunteer. Like, can you imagine going your whole life
just get fucking ghost, man? That's terrifying.
Not doing drugs. Not doing drugs. Maybe you like some hookers. Okay.
That's what, or maybe even drink. But freaking.
Maybe you're in a mental institute. Maybe you're in prison, and then all of a sudden you start tripping.
Why would you give a mental patient fucking LSD? Why? Unless maybe, I don't know.
You're trying to figure out how to A, get a truth serum, or B, mind control people.
Or maybe figure out how to cure them.
That's not what they were doing.
You don't think there was any honest, any, is that the word I'm looking for? Any good intentions? Ethical intentions with the mental patients? I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm not saying there are. It's just a good topic.
I think they were very easy
targets.
Well, I think they were very easily accessible.
Yeah.
Because they were already in state-run facilities.
Yeah.
And many
like prisoners.
just like the prison. And many of them didn't get visited frequently, and they were just were wards of the state. And so they were. I mean, okay, if you think about this as a continuation of what they were doing in the Nazi concentration camps, like, this shit is sick. This shit is sick. Like, how is it that we allow an entity to have so much free reign that they just pick off the weak? Or, I mean, these people have their hands tied. Like, if I get arrested for something, my hands are tied. Like, I can't, I'm in jail. Like, I have lost my freedom. Now,
I also read that after they targeted people, they made it seem as a way where they would be blocked off from all contacts from everybody else. You know, it's like,
well, but I mean, you would have to. So if you're keeping somebody dosed up for half a year, you can't allow them to have contact with their family.
Yeah, they would
you know
make
what?
what I'm saying is they would make their reputation in a way where they were like unreliable. You know, where like you
Right.
even if they were decent people.
But and you think about this though, if you keep somebody drugged up and then they call their family and say, hey, they're keeping me in this facility, they won't let me out, I'm seeing things, I'm hearing things, like,
exactly, yeah, if
their family's just gonna think they're fucking crazy anyway.
They're gonna think that you need to be there. Yep. Another, what I kind of wanted to touch on while we were talking about this, which I found kind of interesting. I don't have a whole lot of information, and I'm going to try to explain the best I can. Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, he was actually a project of MK Ultra. He was attending Stanford, and he volunteered for it because, you know, he might be paid some money or whatever. And I don't know if they actually gave him drugs, but I feel like they put him under the hypnosis.
That was another thing that they did. Hypnosis.
Or maybe some kind of electroshock thing. But what they did with these students is they asked them to write a paper like on their beliefs and stuff, like what they believed. And while they were under this, we'll call it hypnotic state because I don't exactly remember what exactly it did to him, but I don't think it was drugs. In his ear, or while he was under that influence, they would tell him how stupid it was, how horrible it was. You know, how they would just beat him down. His paper that he had submitted on, you know, just like a paper that he had submitted on Life or just, I don't know exactly what it's about, but just a paper that he'd submitted, right? A Stanford student. And the Unabomber is super intelligent. We all know that, you know. And they put, he was a project MK Ultra, like we said, and they just put him, I don't know what kind of state he was in. I don't remember that, so I don't want to say for sure. But I know that they would just beat him down about anything he believed in that paper. You know, beat him down, tell him you're stupid. And then I believe this went on for 3 years that he was part of this project, and his beliefs, you know, something that he, as an intelligent person, a Stanford student that he really thought that he believed in, as part of this project, they would tell him, you're wrong, you're stupid, you know, all this stuff. And that's an interesting, not survivor story, but an interesting story. And another source that I read was, are we there yet? Some sources?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it Robert? It's Robert something, I believe. Maybe Robert Frost. I'm not sure. Forrest. But he, for the Grateful Dead, woo, we know they don't do drugs at all. He was a writer for the Grateful Dead for, I think they're
like a lyricist?
Yeah, a lyricist for the Grateful Dead for their first 2 albums. And, God, I don't remember where he volunteered, you know, what college or what facility or anything he volunteered, but he was a volunteer. But he's one of those people, and there are a couple that came out of it with a positive outlook. You know, he's like LSD opens up your mind, and
There are lots of people who
He-
believe that today.
I
But those people have clearly never had a bad trip.
I've had a bad trip, and I feel like if you microdose, that it could be helpful.
There are people pushing for that now. Like Amsterdam is trying to legalize it, and they're
Better
starting
than fucking meth.
they're starting to approach the FDA here
Mhm.
about the ability of doctors to prescribe it or people to be able to microdose or whatever. But
I can't pick that up right now.
I don't think that there is a way, and I could be wrong. I don't think there's a way for you to be able to prevent people from having a bad trip. I mean, I think that's in your brain. Well, I think that's something chemically, like when
But
you
the most that U of I have ever taken is probably a whole hit. Have you ever taken a little tiny bit of acid? Like, have you ever?
you're assuming I've ever taken acid.
Do you know anybody who's taking less than one hit of acid?
I mean, I don't know.
Like a
These are not
microdose.
things that we discuss. Like, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I can't say that I do or do not know anyone who has microdosed LSD because I feel like microdose is a relatively new term.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
I don't feel like when I was young anybody was microdosing anything.
they're like, give me 3 full 10. Most ever took was 10 hits at once.
But I mean, I don't. So, answer me this: if you microdose, do you not trip? Is
I
that
don't know. I've never microdosed, but my impression of it is like
it just makes you in a good mood?
it opens you up. It makes you more creative. It puts you in a maybe like you know how whenever well you know people who have been on acid and they get the giggles right and they just want to laugh and laugh and laugh and they want to talk about stuff and they want to have a good time. I've never microdosed, but my interpretation of microdosing is that it's those symptoms of a trip that you get, that you're able to open your mind. You
Good trips.
You can
Those are
talk.
good trips.
Yeah, you can talk, but at
So
a
you're
minimal
saying
level.
At microdosing, you don't ever have a bad trip?
I've never done it, but that's because you're microdosing. I don't know if you could. I don't know. That's my thoughts.
Well, so okay, Project MK Ultra. I felt like we needed to do an episode on it because a lot of people talk about it, and like I really didn't fully know what it was until I started researching for this episode, and it is true life
It
conspiracy theory shit. Like,
It's no conspiracy. It's real life.
right, it's true facts, but
Now, what some people may say about it could be conspiracy. You know, we
What do
can't.
you
We
mean?
can't. Well, we can't believe every freaking person
every
who says that
survivor
they're a
account.
survivor of MK Ultra.
Well, a lot of people.
Have you ever
didn't-
watched Kathy O'Brien?
No.
Oh, you need to watch her.
What is she?
She is supposedly a MK Ultra survivor, and there's this doctor. I want to say his name is Brian, and he has basically deprogrammed her. It's more like Project Monarch, which we need to talk about. I know we're probably running out of time, but we need to talk about Project Monarch. You know,
Go ahead.
So, Kathy O'Brien says that she was basically ritually abused, which is part of what causes MK Ultra. I mean, causes these symptoms. She was ritually abused. She was given drugs, and it caused her to have GID. To y'all who don't know what that is
Dissociative identity disorder.
or formerly known as multiple personality disorder.
Correct.
And this chick says that she did drug runs for George Bush. She said that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton both was doing dirty deeds to her. I mean, she lists a lot of shit. And this Brian guy comes into play. God, I wish I knew his name.
So she was a victim of MK Ultra, and
More so by ritualistic abuse to cause DID. Yeah.
So then, so she's a victim of MK Ultra, and then Bill Clinton becomes the president, and she's already known to the government for being a subject of MK Ultra.
Yes.
And so they then use her to
do their dirty deeds and do what they need to do because she has multiple personalities, some that will do it. Now, I don't know if I buy into this. There's you can find it on YouTube. I believe it's Kathy with a C, Kathy O'Brien. I researched it at one time whenever something was going on with one of my friends, which I'm not going to go into. But no, not her. We're not going to go into it because we're going to respect his privacy and his family's privacy because he's dead now. So, but there's this doctor, and I believe his name is Dr. Brian something. I don't know. But what he does is he deprograms people who are victims of this. He brings them out of it. He deprograms
people who are victims of MK Ultra, or deprograms people who have been abused.
I don't know if it's necessarily MK Ultra, but people who have been abused by the government for government purposes.
Okay.
So kind of like MK Ultra. I know whenever you research her in MK Ultra, it comes out. But I mean, there's this big long interview you can find on YouTube about it. It's long. There's also a book. I've heard it had a lot of typos and stuff in it, but hey, that happens. You know, if you want to get something out quick, you know, sometimes you miss that stuff.
To notice the typos.
I am not a typo fan at all. I may not speak that well, but writing that shit down, no. You need that apostrophe, you need that comma, you know, but
I mean, spell check.
I love Microsoft Word and spell check. I love it.
Okay.
It's taught me so much. Anywho,
So, yes, we're going to wrap up
I
now.
just got crazy eyes.
Next episode's going to be great.
40 seconds away from it, bitch.
Never. I would never. So that's it. That's I feel like, I mean,
We pretty much covered it. One thing I think before we cover, do you think that there are projects like this still going on?
yes.
Me too. All right. And one thing we'll ask you as our viewers, do you believe projects like this are still going on? I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you do. If you know,
I don't know. I have some pretty straight-laced subscribers that I work with.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Then why are they watching our thing?
Because they're friends with me.
Because they love you.
Lovable. I'm very lovable.
Thank you for loving Courtney. I love her too. I love her so much. I love her dog more though. I'm joking. I'm just joking. I love you, babe. But if you maybe know any people who have been affected by MK Ultra, that maybe be quite a bit older, or people who have been affected by any type of mind control or any type of
Government
techniques.
studies. I see all the time. You can sign up for this. You can sign up for this testing of this a beta test of a drug. I see that all the time. Do you want to quit smoking? Sign up for this study.
Do you want to?
No, most of them are through universities, but many universities were involved.
We see how that went.
Yeah, I also wanted to know that when the committee first came out, the CIA said that they.
It's
Whoa.
my foot. I'm sorry. I'm propping my leg up because it hurts. I'm sorry. I'll move it. I'm gonna
Fucking
get
everything up. Fucking everything up.
Look, I'm freaking crippled. It's my bad.
Now, I want to point out that the CIA initially tried to minimize this, of course, and they only acknowledged about 30 institutions.
Really, I don't remember hearing that. I believe.
Yeah,
I believe
they initially only acknowledged that 32 institutions were involved in this, but actually, like now you can read like 80 plus universities
that was
were
just
involved.
universities.
That
That's
was
just
just universities.
Yeah.
And then there was over 100 institutions
Mhm.
involved in this. And this is real, and you can
It's there,
Google
you
it,
can
and
find
you can
it.
read it, and the documents are available to view. Our fucking government.
Did some fucked up shit. One
Did
thing I
this.
do want to say though, this could be another episode. Love me some JFK. I feel like should I say it? I feel like possibly it's rumored that JFK wanted to shut down the CIA. He wanted to give them less power. People say that about Donald Trump too. I don't know.
But there's also rumors
Mhm.
that JFK got shot because he wanted to release all the UFO
About the
files and
alien shit. Yeah. Yep.
Um,
And
so-
because he got shot with a shrimp gun. That's a UFO thing. But
A shrimp gun.
a shrimp gun. I'll have to send you that podcast. We'll need.
What is a shrimp gun?
That's all I remember from it.
No, but like, what is a shrimp
An
gun?
alien gun.
Oh.
I think. I don't know. I watched it on those conspiracy guys. Credit there. Okay, I've heard it on those conspiracy guys.
Google shrimp gun and send us the fucking link.
All right.
Okay, so MK Ultra was real. Our federal government really did this. The CIA really did this.
Yep.
And
It is what it is.
you can read.
Hey,
You can read the documents.
if you know somebody who was affected back in those times,
Or somebody who
who knows?
you know now that you think they're fucking crazy, that says the government's trying to control their mind or has implanted chips or what the fuck ever.
Message us.
Yes.
But don't message us on Facebook. Message us on YouTube.
What do you mean? Is that even a thing?
Yeah, we got a message on YouTube a while back. Comment. It's comment. It's not message.
Okay.
Comment below. And if you feel it's too private to message, hit us up on our Facebook page, Serially Drunk and Deranged. It's an ampersand instead of the and. Send us some
Instead of being
messages, man.
spelled out, yeah.
Yeah, that was my bad. I thought it looked better, but most people just want to type and instead of going to the symbols and putting the thing. But visually, it looks better. I used to work in graphics design.
Anyways, so MK Ultra, real thing. There are many
buddy.
sub projects of MK Ultra, and
Major colleges involved.
our
Universities.
our government's kind of fucked up. So all these crazy conspiracy people,
I believe them.
I don't believe all of them.
I mean, a
Some
lot of
people
them.
are just fucking crazy.
Pizzagate! Turn it off now.